So I really had no idea how just completely horrible and disgusting the Gates Foundation is. But this article by the Gray Zone lays it out in excruciating detail, and I'm not going to go over all of it with y'all because it's quite a long article. I recommend reading it. I read probably a good 80-90% of it and kind of skimmed through the rest, but I'll link it in the description box down below. So, title is Why the Bill Gates Global Health Empire Promises More Empire and Less Public Health by Jeremy Lafredo and Michelle Greenstein. Behind a veil of corporate media PR, the Gates Foundation has served as a vehicle for Western capital while exploiting the global south as a human laboratory. The coronavirus pandemic is likely to intensify this disturbing agenda. So it starts off by saying, with the U.S. pulling out of the WHO, the Gates Foundation had been the second biggest contributor to it. Now they are the biggest, and you think, oh, okay, maybe that's a good thing. What's the big deal about that? The Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation is this, charitable foundation. They're trying to help with vaccines and public health. What's so bad about that? But it's not so cut and dry because there are huge strings attached, because they're basically Bill Gates Foundation and the pharmaceutical industries are like that. So they're more or less the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation is doing the bidding of these pharmaceutical companies with no regards to public health, and just giving all these vaccines and treatments that aren't allowed in the US to the global south, while making billions of dollars for these pharmaceutical companies, leading to these disastrous health outcomes for the people getting these vaccines, whether it be the oral polio vaccine or the DTP vaccine, things that we haven't been using in the US for quite some time because they aren't effective and they have these horrible consequences, sometimes death, but they're being used on the global south as guinea pigs to prop up, these pharmaceutical companies. And it just talks about right here how Gates is lauded as some type of public health expert, even though he describes himself as a health expert despite his lack of a college degree in medicine or any other field. There he is with Colbert, Fox News, Ellen, MSNBC, CNN, Ezra Klein, whoever that is, Trevor Noah. I think that's some type of CNN host. So it's honestly very eye-opening, because this Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation is so powerful, and they have so much influence in these different areas in these different countries with the WHO, and just some really, really shady fucking shit going on, and it's really disturbing, frankly. Let's see. And I don't know if that's him giving this oral polio vaccine to this little kid. I mean, just like the picture, this white billionaire creep going to Africa, putting this medicine, in this little kid's mouth, probably with the parents not getting any type of informed consent of the risk of giving that treatment, and he's lauded as some type of savior, a hero. It's disgusting. Says, as the second richest person on earth, Bill Gates has no reason to crave money. This is a common response that claims that Gates' philanthropy isn't motivated solely by the kindness of his heart. But despite these frequent characterizations of Gates giving away his fortune, his net worth has actually doubled in the last 2 decades. And again, the second richest person in the world. At the same time, strong evidence suggests that the Gates Foundation functions as a Trojan horse for Western corporations, which of course have no goal greater than increased bottom line. Consider the revolving door between the Gates Foundation and Big Pharma. Former Director of Vaccine Development at the Foundation and current CEO of the Bill and Melinda Gates Medical Research Institute, Penny Heaton, hails from drug kingpin Merck and Novartis. The Foundation's president of Global Health, Trevor Mundell, served in leadership positions at both Novartis and Pfizer. His predecessor, Tachi Yamada, was previously top executive at GlaxoSmithKline. I mean, literally the revolving door. If it's not from one drug company, it's the other. And you think they don't have an ulterior motive to, enrich those same companies, that same industry that they came on? I mean, Jesus Christ. Kate James worked at GSK for almost 10 years, then became the Foundation's Chief Communications Officer. The examples are almost endless. It definitely seems that way. Moreover, the Gates Foundation invests in these corporations directly. A little conflict of interest there, right? If the Gates Foundation is, giving all of these, just immunizations and treatments for polio or DTaP or malaria or whatever it is to the global south that aren't fit for human consumption in the US because of the disastrous health consequences that they actually cause, they're actually worse than getting polio or malaria or whatever, and they're investing in these same companies that manufacture these defective drugs, doesn't that seem like a huge conflict of interest, a huge red flag? It definitely does to me. So they've owned stocks and bonds and bonds, not bongs. Merck, GSK, Lilly, Pfizer, Novartis, Sanofi. And look, this is how disgusting this. They're just out there. The Foundation's website even candidly declares a mission to pursue mutually beneficial opportunities with vaccine manufacturers. I mean, god damn. And then here it goes into detailing how they bought the WHO. The WHO relies on two streams of funding. One comes in the form of assessed contributions, so funding from UN member states, which is assessed through population and income. Second is voluntary contributions, which can be earmarked for specific causes. Voluntary earmarked contributions, which the Gates Foundation provides, account for more than 80% of the current WHO budget. In other words, most of the WHO's money comes with strings attached. As Dr. David Legg, public health scholar emeritus at the School of Public Health at La Trobe University in Melbourne, told the Grade Zone, obligatory contributions by nation states really only cover the cost of mission. It doesn't cover any of the project costs, which means that all project funding is dependent on donors, the biggest one being the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. Virtually all donor money is totally earmarked to highly specific projects that the donors want to fund. I mean, it's disgusting. So in 2018, for example, WHO took in over $70 million from the pharmaceutical industry. 2018, the last year for which complete data is available. Meanwhile, the Gates Foundation has provided Big Pharma with the perfect vehicle for influencing the WHO. In 2018 alone, the foundation gave $237.8 million to the WHO, making it the second largest contributor after the US. And again, the US just pulled out of the WHO. The foundation also funds the WHO indirectly through the Global Alliance for Vaccines and Immunizations, Gavi, a public-private partnership that facilitates bulk sales of vaccines to poor countries. Gavi is the second largest non-state funder of the WHO after the Gates Foundation and gave $158.5 million to the WHO in 2018. I mean, goddamn, that's it. So they have the influence through the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, and the second highest voluntary contribution is from Gavi, which is directly connected to Bill Gates and that. I mean, goddamn, it's fucked up. So, and then to sociologist Alison Katz, who worked for 18 years in the WHO headquarters, the WHO has become a victim of neoliberal globalization. Katz wrote an open letter to then WHO Director General Margaret Chan in 2007, criticizing public bodies that go begging to the private sector and to the foundation of celebrity philanthropists with diverse agendas from industry. To be sure, the WHO's close financial relationship with a private organization is only a problem to the extent that it relies on quid pro quo donations. And that seems to be exactly what is taking place. Again, it wouldn't be a big deal if the Gates Foundation was just like, here's $300 million, here's 400, and, WHO, go do what you like with it. You're the supposed health experts here. Use that money however you see fit, but it's not. It's with strings attached. That's the problem, and it's doing the bidding of the fucking pharmaceutical industry to exploit people in these governments in the global south. It's disgusting. So the foundation decides how the funds are earmarked. For example, the WHO program that receives the most money is its polio eradication program because the Gates Foundation earmarks most of its contributions for polio. It's so fucked up. Donations are actually a mechanism for agenda setting. His massive contributions totally distort the kind of budget priorities that the World Health Assembly would wish to see. According to Foreign Affairs, few policy initiatives or normative standards set by the WHO are accounted before they have been causally, unofficially vetted by the Gates Foundation or staff. So they're basically in complete control of what the WHO does, and that is highly, highly troubling. There is Gates with former WHO Director General Margaret Chan. And then when Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus became WHO Director General in 2017, Gates' influence came under fire again. Tedros was previously on the board of two organizations Gates founded, provided seed money for, and continues to this day, Gavi and the Global Fund, where Tedros was the chair of the board. And then Tedros goes on Twitter, propping up Bill Gates and some op-ed that he had in the Telegraph. Right, so totally in control of the WHO. We got that understanding there. Foundations donate millions to major media outlets: NPR, PBS, ABC, BBC, Al Jazeera, Daily Telegraph, Financial Times, Univision, The Guardian. And in fact, The Guardian's entire global development section is made possible through a partnership with the Gates Foundation. A little sketchy there. So you have WHO completely bought and paid for by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. Then you have all of these media outlets doing the bidding, putting out the propaganda for the Gates Foundation as well. And then deadly double standards. The Gates Foundation has helped engineer global health policy for poor countries for over 20 years, working mainly in Africa and South Asia. And its close relationship with the drug industry seems to have colored that work. While the Foundation's mission statement reads, "We see value in all lives, and exploration of the recent history proves otherwise." The Foundation appears to see the global South both as a dumping ground for drugs deemed too unsafe for the developed world and a testing ground for drugs not yet determined to be safe enough for the developed world. I mean, how just completely disgusting is that when Bill Gates and his foundation and all of the apologists for it like to point, look at all the good things we're doing for the global South. We're giving them these medicines, these vaccines, we're helping people there, when it's a dumping ground for medications, vaccines deemed too unsafe for the, quote, developed world, and a testing ground for drugs not yet to be determined safe enough for the developed world. That is just so fucked up. The so-called flagship of Bill Gates' WHO African vaccine program is the diphtheria, tetanus, pertussis, DTP vaccine. It's a bundle of 3 immunization shots given to virtually every child in the African continent, but not currently administered in the US or most other developed countries. As far back as 1977, a study published by the British medical professionals in The Lancet established that the risk of the wholesale pertussis jab used in the DTP vaccine are greater than the risks associated with contracting wild pertussis. After mounting evidence linking the drug to brain damage, seizures, and even death, the US and other Western countries phased it out in the 1990s and replaced it with a safer version called DTaP, and that did not contain the whole pertussis cell. However, African nations are still being financially incentivized to continue using the out-of-date, deeply dangerous DTP